Welcome back to the Chappie and Bengals podcast. We are back. Bit of a hiatus, but we got some good fucking news this week, don't we, Chappie? We were just talking about it. Bengals coming in hot with the re-signings. We got some NFL stuff we got to touch on this week. We're going to talk about the offseason, some of the stuff that's been going on, and some of the guys still yet to be signed in today's episode. But first, to start us off, Chappie, how you been doing, man? How's your week?
Been good. Yeah, good weekend, I would say. Getting started on some shit, but baseball's just right around the corner, and that's my shit. I am ready to rock. I'm counting the days down. We got 4 days until opening day, so excited for that, and ready to get rolling with all the fantasy content on that. So keep an eye out for that.
Hell yeah, we got a MLB draft dropping that we did, and you guys need to get in the comments and hammer Chappie to get more of this baseball stuff out there, because he's got some good shit. He knows ball. We just got to get him on camera a little bit more, guys. So get in the comments and razzle him up a little bit, and he'll get his shit out there for sure. But let's get into some of this news. The big one that dropped this past week. It's been a little bit of a hiatus.
How are you feeling about this?
It's mixed emotions.
So excited for so long, just wanting to get it done. We've done video upon video upon video to just try and, what was it going to feel like? What is it going to be done? It can be done. It can be done, Bengals said. It can be done. You just have to do some things.
It was
and
done.
then look at that. I'll
we
eat
filmed
this one.
the video. Like, you can go back and 100% watch where you doubted it, and
I doubted it full stop. I did not believe that this was going to happen. I didn't think it was the right thing to do. That was why I doubted that it should happen. But hey, fucking Joey B came through, kept on saying, "Hey, we're going to make this happen." And, and lo and behold, here we are.
And here we are. And I mean, I did say that it could be done, and they did it. Mind you, there's a lot of speculation around it, and it's probably the most trending team right now, because it doesn't matter what you do. You're gonna get criticized regardless out here. You can't sign the guys. Oh, now you sign them, and it's like you shouldn't have signed the guys, and it just never fucking ends. It's ridiculous with the people.
It's amazing.
Out here. That's why it's great to have you on the other end here, because you're not a biased Bengal fan. You are from the population of, I want to hear your side of things and how you feel based on what had happened. Now, there's some clamorings about, there's like some issues with like T's contract, and essentially it's only a 1-year deal. There's that narrative that came out. And then there's them going on now, and they're talking about like, well, we still have to sign Trey. And then it's you invested so much money in this offense. How could you ever be competitive now? You got the defense to worry about. Like, there's so many sides to this coin that I would love to get your opinion on, your take. But the deals are done. Still waiting on the Trey side of things, which is an ongoing negotiation. But what are your initial thoughts with this?
So I've been laughing at this because you're an avid gym goer, personal trainer, and all such things. When we talk about, a body getting a full body workout, I think the funniest meme that I saw on the internet this week was the meme of SpongeBob.
I thought you were talking about the guy that did the morning routine. That dude's been all over.
Nah, that's Ashton Hall, if that's a thing. I love that. Yes, that would be great, but that guy's jacked from head to toe, so I'm not going to really say anything about that guy. Dunk your head in some water tea. But
ice cold water.
Ice cold. Let's get it going. Freshly popped. But yeah, this this whole thing is like, it's so eerily reminiscent of the guy that skips leg day. Like that, it's like we're gonna go all offense this fucking season. We're going to just forget the defense. We're gonna forget leg day. It doesn't matter. We're gonna look strong up top. We're gonna pound 35 plus points on you every season. It doesn't matter that we might give up 35 too, but we're just going to make sure. And then the quote on it, the caption was like, just hammer the over every single week on the Bengals games, because it's just going to be a fucking shootout. It's going to remind me of that team, like the Chargers I think it was like 2 seasons ago, where it was like they're putting up like 35, 38, 40 points. And every single season they were like par with like points against, like, and it was absurd. But I don't know, we'll see. Like 49% of the cap right now is signed between three players, and that's not far off from like the Eagles. I think they're at like 44,
Yeah,
forty-five
they're
percent
literally it's like same
But
same scenario.
yeah, it is a similar scenario, but I would say that 5% of the total cap is a difference maker on a player that can be, on the squad, you know, contributing. So I think that there is value in every single one of those percents towards the cap. But it's crazy. I honestly didn't think that this was going to get done. And just nor did I think it was maybe the right thing to be done. But we saw what happened with Philly. They invested in their offense, and then they drafted their defense. And I think that could be the kind of the blueprint that Cincinnati's following right now. But that's kind of my take on the thing, because clearly it's you've locked in your offensive weapons, and they're all young and they're all
Yeah.
strong and they're all talented. And when they're on the field, they're a problem. But I think that's the biggest thing, is getting them on the field, and also just making sure that they're working together and not feeling like they have to do more because the defense just let up something big, right? So that's
Yeah,
my take
no,
on it.
I completely understand that, and it's all warranted. I think like the one thing I wanted to touch on immediately there for and the viewers as well is the criticism came from, why didn't you do this earlier, right? Like,
Hmm.
why wouldn't you get these deals done earlier? It would have saved you so much cap space, yada yada yada. I don't think it was the Bengals' plan to sign T. Higgins long term. How
Hmm.
can you sign somebody earlier to a contract if you don't forecast him being in your future plans, right? And I think because of the fact that they had such a roller coaster season that led to not only seeing T's value, because we saw in that Denver game, 3 touchdowns, 150 yards.
Hmm.
And when he's on the field, they're a different offense, man. Like, they
Hmm.
are incredible. And you can see the difference that T makes. And that's just, I think they've found their identity. And I don't think they knew this prior to going into the season. They weren't planning on re signing T, and they could have allocated, funds wherever else. And that's the same reason we went out and we drafted a guy like Jermaine Burton. Then we found out he's a bit of a head case here, and he's an amazing talent, but not somebody that's going to be reliable, right? And then not only that, but you see the camaraderie between these guys in the locker room and what it does, and how much influence they have. Like, that wasn't a thing. You didn't have these things prior to, and I think because of the season they had, leads to Joe Burrow coming out being like, dude, I'm backing my guys. Like, we need these fucking dudes in here. If you're gonna
Yeah.
give us a subpar offensive line and a dog shit defense, you better fucking pay my offensive guys so that I can at least go score points, right?
Yeah.
So that's my argument, is like, they didn't know. They didn't know that they were gonna pay T. Higgins. But it just came
Yeah.
down to that. And now we have this space. We still got some cuts to make, and we got that done. We still have enough money to sign Trey, and you have to at this point. Free agency is so far gone. We're missing talent on defense. But another aspect is on the other side of that coin, where you talk about the defense. Like, Philly is the exact same thing, but what's the difference? Philly drafted good defensive players, right?
Hmm.
We have a draft upcoming that has it's deep at the positions that we need,
Hmm.
but you have to hit. That's the
Yeah.
bottom line.
Yep.
And it's what I said on my other the Bengals show, the Bengals take that I did, is it doesn't matter what you do, you have to draft and develop properly in this league, or you're never gonna fucking win games. I don't care if you have Joe Burrow in this offense.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. So that was my take. I'm like, you got the guys, they know what they're doing. Pay them, because you're gonna struggle mightily
Well,
if
they're
you,
going
you
to put
don't
up
have that.
points, right?
Yeah.
Like they got a good situation at running back right now that can kind of fill in those roles.
Chase
Like,
Brown's been
yeah,
amazing, and
yeah,
like they have that. Like,
yeah,
you're not gonna beat these guys on the offensive side of the ball,
yeah.
but
No,
they
they're
got to do
they're all
something.
talent on that side, right? I think the
Yeah,
biggest thing right now is just like you said, how do you fill those holes defensively? And the big one right now is obviously Trey, and whether or not that becomes a reality, or maybe they fumble on this. I pray that they don't. I pray that something comes
I
of
don't
this,
think they
whether or not
will.
they allocate to this, because obviously it's free agent season and things are going fast, right? So
Yeah,
you got to make a move to kind of cover your losses here. And yeah, the defensive side, they just got to hit. They got to hit the draft. They got to hit it well. And we won't know until that happens. I think
Yeah.
honestly where they're squared up to be in position. We know what this team was last year, and aside from maybe a 1 or 2 wins in a different direction, I will always laugh at that Bengals loss, and that like first, I don't know what Joe's got to do like to get ready for the game one, but like I feel like every single season it's just such a slow start. But I love Bengals over here, and his like just we're gonna smoke New England, and then just get fucking rocked, and that's the difference maker on your season.
Yeah, listen,
Just
man, you're a
incredible.
sports fan. You know how it goes. But
Absolutely.
in all rights, we should have smacked New England. But
You should
look what
have.
happens.
Yeah.
Look what happens
And
when
then
you have all the
I think that's
controversies
just
leading up
if
to it.
I was a New England fan, I would just be chuckling in the background, being like, "Yeah, we were the difference maker on your
Yeah.
season."
Like you
They're a rock
realize New
star. Yeah.
England was 1-0 to start the year, and they have like a top 5 draft pick. Like,
Yeah.
how crazy is that? They're that bad. But
Yeah.
man, like that's been the narrative, and those are the things. I think this
Yeah.
is hot seat Zach Taylor season, where it's like, dude, if you don't
Yeah.
fucking fix this shit, you're gone because we got nobody else to fire. It's on you. And
Yeah.
I voiced my opinion a million times, saying, Zach Taylor is. He probably wouldn't have a job anywhere else, all 32 teams, if he got fired from Cincinnati. Unfortunately, great guy, love the person,
You can
just
get a
the
coordinator role.
coach.
Yeah.
He might take a little bit of time. He's not the greatest, but at the same time, I just they're gonna put stock into the draft this year, and they got to hit on the defensive side of the ball. And if they do, I think this team can be very scary. But they gotta hit. They gotta hit, and there's guys there. So, needless to be say, I'm stoked. I'm just waiting for the Trey news to drop because that has to happen. And then they got to do a few more things before the draft here. Maybe sign a guard, but this offense is going to be fucking terrifying. Like they're always going to be that team, and if they can
Yeah.
just get the defense to hang in there, middle of the pack, it'll be a completely different team.
Bro, I agree. I agree on that point.
So yeah, we're gonna see how that plays out. But a lot of controversy on that. I don't think it needs to be as controversial as some of these takes are out there. But people need shit to talk about, and everybody loves to rip the Bengals right now. So go on, do your thing.
Yeah.
But let's kind of move on to some other news here. There's some teams I want to talk about. First, we'll kind of dive into this. Not so eventful news, but it'll tie into the other stuff here with Mr.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston
Yeah.
signing with the Giants. So Giants are out on Aaron Rodgers. And it looks like the Steelers are probably coming down to Russell Wilson again or Aaron Rodgers. And the news was that Aaron Rodgers left the Steelers facility the other day without a contract.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's sick of the waiting game with Rodgers and his whole kumbaya pre-team decision stuff that he has to do, ayahuasca retreats and all this nonsense. But I mean, can you blame the guy? 4-time MVP. He had a
Yeah,
hell of
you
a
know
year
what?
last year.
As much as we talk a lot of shit about Aaron Rodgers, the situation, if anyone's afforded that opportunity
Yeah, it's him.
to walk into any locker room in the NFL and say, "Hey guys, I'm still pretty good. Also, look at my record and my
Yeah.
career, and I can still do some stuff." So like if you're willing and able, like just coming off of that injured season, doing what he did there, like we talked shit, but like at the end of the day, we did look at it. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
And is he able to do it into this season? I don't know. Right? That's going to be the tale of time, right? I think that's
Yeah.
it scared me off of the Jets last season. And I honestly don't think I can put this all on Aaron, but it was just kind of one of those seasons that I think, incompetent management, incompetent ownership, and then you have all that sideshow happening with Aaron Rodgers, and it's like, what are you going to get in that pot of shit other than what you got? So that's the biggest thing. But at the end of the day, this guy is still getting looks from teams because of what he's done in his career.
It's a
hard not
market,
to.
right? It's also
It is a market, yeah.
It's that side of things too. It's like, whoa, Pittsburgh. What are your fucking options, guys?
Yeah.
You
Yeah, if you're
have
running
to play
Russell
this
Wilson
game.
or Aaron Rodgers, it's kind of like,
We
I
saw
don't know.
what Russell did down the stretch there. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Full blown
Aaron's
pumpkin.
got
You talk
the
about Sam
right-
Darnold going pumpkin. Fucking Pittsburgh
Wilson
ran.
did it too.
Oh my God! I think
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's run into the playoffs last season was the worst thing I've ever seen.
It was
Like,
embarrassing. And
It
they've
was
been doing
embarrassing.
that. So
Yeah,
they're kind of this is hot seat season for Mikey Tomlin, I think. I think this is the
might be.
final one. And
Yeah.
he's really putting together the fucking collection of nutcases on this roster to start. Mr. DK Metcalf, let's bring him in. And then it's like, let's get Aaron Rodgers and
It'd be
let's just go
such an
full
entertaining
circle.
season, man.
Maybe we'll have so many
Yeah.
personalities in the locker room that it will just all cancel each other out and they'll just execute like no tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's a hilarious way to build a roster right now. What the
Oh
Steelers are
yeah.
doing, so we're gonna see how this shit plays out. But
Maybe they're all just
I
gonna smoke some incredible shit and just feel the best they've ever felt in their lives.
he's just gonna go
They're
on a
just gonna
trip,
go on.
have a
Yeah.
time. This
They're gonna
could
have
be,
a
but I
great
do
trip.
think like if this season is a rocky one, I think Mike Tomlin's out. I think you gotta move on because it's too much of this carousel of the same shit. And I think
Yeah.
like what are you gonna do? Like I know it's tough though when you're in this purgatory of like you can't draft a quarterback. Like there
Yeah.
are only so many out there. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna get a franchise
No,
quarterback.
you're gonna do what
Kind
they're
of stuck.
doing, right? Like and that's the result of it. I kind of chuckled at the whole like Justin Fields thing. Like they kind of had an experiment. It wasn't the best, but it was at least something young and potent that you could
Right.
try and figure out around. And then just obviously what happened there, and now you're off to another veteran, quarterback coming in, and I don't know like I don't know what the plan will be. Is it a year plan again, where it's just like, hey, we're gonna go into this another year and expect to make the playoffs because we
You
have
have
the highest
to.
paid defense and they should
Yeah.
carry us into things, and we'll see where it goes from there. And it's crazy like that, like defense, like it's big, right? But we did talk about this, like there has to be a difference maker on offense in order to do that, and we've seen this offense just kind of get rejigged, reshuffled, dismantled, what have you. And I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is the answer. We will certainly see. But it's just it's an interesting spot. If you were a fan of Pittsburgh's going into the playoffs last season, and then obviously seeing what happened there, losing, what was it, 3 or 4 heading in, and then just getting smoked, like you're not in the same company as these other teams right now. And it is a bit of a shame to kind of watch them kind of trek in the same crap every single year. So
Right.
we'll see.
I mean, I'll enjoy it forever.
Yeah, of course you will.
Doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't bug me, but it's when I look at it just from like a unbiased lens where I'm actually trying to figure out what their plan is here. I just like you can't really do anything. The DK Metcalf signing was a bit of a head scratcher. I know he's a talented guy and
Yeah.
he's a difference maker, but you already got a guy in George Pickens, and it's like, okay, wait, so are you going to let Pickens walk after this now, and is DK your guy? Because they're two very similar receiving types. So I just don't know what the plan is there in terms of that. And then you lost Najee, so I expect them to go out and draft a running back because you're not just going to run Jalen Warren out there the entire time, and that's kind of their identity too, right? So I don't know. Be interesting to see what the plan is there. But on the other side of things, the Giants, I think they're like dumpster fire. Like, what are you gonna do?
Well, that was the
Jameis?
interesting thing when this Jameis thing happened. I was like, you know what? I think Neighbors just got a little fantasy boost there,
Yeah,
just
he definitely
because
did.
like Winston can
Anything's a
chuck,
boost,
man.
though.
Like and
can.
he'll do some interesting shit, and he will fly off like, oh wow, that's what Jameis is about.
He'll
and then
give
you'll
you
have
some of the best 4 to 5 game stretches you'll
the craziest
ever see,
fall
and then
off you'll
that's
ever
it.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like
then he'll
a
be
little
on the
bit of both.
bench.
Yeah,
So, and I don't know what they're going to do in the draft because they got to see if a quarterback falls to them too.
Yep.
So I guess he's just kind of like we got a guy in the meantime. We got to figure out what happens in the draft and how it falls, and you just kind of go from there. So, but it's tough, man. When you don't got a quarterback, you got to kind of deal with what's out there. But speaking of quarterbacks and a team that kind of hasn't really touched on contract talks, the San Francisco 49ers. I really wanted to talk about this team, get your thoughts, because they've been, a lot of subtractions from this roster. Yeah, lots of them. A lot of talented players out the door. There's even been a lot of speculation on the trade of like Brandon Ayuk as well, a guy they just signed to a contract last year.
Yeah.
And then I look at the 49ers, I'm like, what is the plan here? But let me give you this quote before I get your thoughts on this team. And so John Lynch, the GM, said, "We've got this thing called the draft, and we've got a lot of picks." And he said, "I think the fans should know we have a plan, and we're going to execute that plan." And you know what? They're probably one of the teams I trust to draft well,
Yeah.
given obviously the roster of talent that they had. So, what do you think the plan is here from the 49ers perspective?
They're clearly trying to get younger, like right now.
Yeah.
Like they're probably they've decided that growing pains are okay here. They're like, I'm curious about the Ayuk situation. I don't know if that's just stemming from any of the practice shit from last season and any of the other
Probably.
stuff, but it probably is. Like, that Shanahan is quite cut and dry with, the decisions that he
Yeah.
makes, and no bullshit kind of plan altogether. So I wouldn't be shocked if that is probably playing a bigger part in the situation here. And maybe it's kind of one of those times where the team's just kind of rolling over on their talent, where it's not working as well as it did before. Guys are starting to age out in certain situations, and obviously the stuff going on with Brock Purdy and what that's going to look like. I think it's probably just about that time to kind of reevaluate things. So I actually don't think that this is a bad situation. I think we talked about this even last season, and I had brought it up that, like, I think the leash is relatively short for the 49ers, given the players that they have. We saw Debo get moved. CMC has been talked about in the back here as well, and considering his health and what's going on there, it's probably like, hey, we thought we might have had something. We thought we were a little closer with this deal. And then obviously that's kind of fallen apart contingent on his health and what's been going on there. So I think there's probably something bigger in the works to just try and recoup and redraft what will potentially be a better team down the road here. But you're talking about, like, who are your centerpieces on this team? Like, I'll ask you that, like, you know what I mean? And go through the
Yeah.
team as it stands today. And you're probably looking at a lot of an older crew that, should or could probably move forward, and they got to figure out something after the fact, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I stand with this. I do think it's probably a valid time to redo this, and kind of look at the roster and plan ahead. So I'm not overly shocked that this has been the direction.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I think they do have to get younger because you look at their key pieces like Trent Williams, the tackle, he's up there in age, right? You got Christian McCaffrey, his injury history, he's up there in age. George Kittle is on the back end of his career. And then you got Brandon Ayuk. Well, now it's kind of like we paid him the money because we were in this window, but now our season went shit. We got to get younger and we got to redo this. Do we really give a shit about this guy anymore? Can somebody take him off our hands so we can just redo this fully? That's probably what they're thinking. They don't want to deal with his shit, not worth it anymore. They're not in their window. Like, this could be
Yeah.
let's start to see what we got here, what we can draft and rebuild. But I'm curious to see what they do with Purdy's contract, and then, like you said, like, are they going to move CMC depending on how the season goes? Like, are they going to move some of these guys like the George Kittles, like, and just completely overhaul this roster based on what happens this season? I don't know, but
Yeah, this is like two tales of two teams right now. Like, between what the 49ers are doing and what the Rams are doing, I find those teams are very similar in how they're built. And the Rams kind of just recircled back and kind of had that young guy that obviously is a top 10 probably receiver in the league. I don't know
Mhm.
if I'd consider Ayuk a top 10, but definitely top 15, right? And then you probably looking at that and saying, okay, so now you have these guys. We're gonna move off of Cup. That would be your comparison to kind of, I wouldn't even say Debo, but there was a part of when Debo was considered one of the
Yeah.
best in the fucking league. And they're probably looking at situations like that where they're like, hey, the Rams are kind of retooling here. We're not necessarily in that same position, but we did have that same kind of element of talent on our teams. Let's just rejig this, reshuffle it back, and kind of go and see what the NFC kind of holds, and come out of this probably better than what they're currently slated to be projected for, right? Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if this team isn't going to make the playoffs or is on a fringe, which, like, even when they were healthy last season didn't look great, Like, I think that's just kind of age showing itself. And then I was telling Bengals over here, like, I got on some fucking 49ers drama talk. Fucking, I don't even know how that happened. I was for it, though. I thought it was hilarious. But reading into it, like, it sounds like there's a lot of shit going on in the locker room. So I don't know what that is. It could just be hoopla, but at the same time, this, maybe it's just not a good setting. Maybe it just needs a reset.
Yeah, I would like to think that's kind of what the plan is here, and I'm trying to look up kind of what the mock draft consensus is for the San Francisco side of things, like who they're gonna go with. And I'm just trying to pull it up here. Like they're picking, what are they even picking in this draft? They're picking 11th. So yeah, like I talked about Trent Williams, like and him. Once he's gone, man, that offensive line is going to be, missing a key cog. Here, I'm just looking at PFF, San Francisco at 11, drafting offensive lineman Will Campbell out of LSU. So one of those top line prospects. That's building the trenches again, trying to build this team up from the ground. And then you work through that run game and you utilize the guys you have. Like Ayuk's a good receiver. Like they keep him, they keep Kittle. This team can still be good depending on what pieces they add through the draft.
Yeah,
right?
But are they good enough? I think that's
they
the
won't
biggest
be
thing. Like we just talked about, like the overall teams, like they're the ones that are going to be able to kind of creep into that playoffs and what you do after the fact.
The team, yeah.
I just don't think they have all the pieces anymore that they did before. And
I would agree. I would agree.
We'll see how it all plays out, but looking at this team, is it a playoff team? I don't know. It can be. It's a sleeper, right? Like it's one of those and it didn't used to be. Like not too far off was this team in the championship, right? Like this is.
They were in the Super Bowl
a
couple years ago.
Oh, exactly.
So like it's but that's how it goes, man.
That's
like,
a window.
It happens quick.
Yeah.
It happens quick.
It's
like
so fast. The windows.
We think about the Patriots and the Chiefs, the dynasties, but these guys are anomalies, man. Like they are not the standard of how it goes. Shit turns over quick, and it's hard to be that. Like that is
you can look at the Rams as the same situation. They had a very high, quick peak, and then fell back into this team's
went all
good,
in, and
but are they good enough, right? And then that's the biggest thing. Philly, I think, is starting to grace that conversation, and we'll see. How
they lost a lot of guys too, right?
Yeah.
Like. So
we'll see if
they still have their core, and they have those young defensive talents.
Yeah,
and they got fucking Mr. Howie Roseman, who drafts like a god.
Yeah, exactly.
They have a million picks again. Yeah. Like when you got a guy that knows what he's doing, like that, you just came off a Super Bowl win.
Right?
Like that
solid
is the difference.
Solid coaching. Like honestly, we gave Sirianni a lot of shit last season, but
we did.
I pulled out a lot of fucking, magic in the end of the season. Honestly, just went on that run, and then it was kind of like, what's stopping these guys? So
absolutely,
yeah.
And that's what football is, man. They drafted, they developed, and like they became, because they were getting scrutinized like a couple of years ago over like the finish they had the year before that was atrocious, and everyone was coming for the heads of like the coach and all that stuff. And then look how it turns out.
If you're upset, just pick a fight with a bunch of fans, and then just see how that turns around your season.
Oh man, that's good. So I mean, my pick was 49ers. Like we did our picks for Super Bowl at the end of the year. They're like future forecasting. I don't know how I feel about that one now after they just dismantled their team.
I think the 49ers are a great organization, and they'll figure this out. They'll figure it out fast too. Like that's just what they do.
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to show you this video first. Now, I don't know if you guys out there, you follow Caps Off Pod here, but I'm going to bring up one of these videos from their account. And they're talking about top 10 receiving duos in the league right now. And I want to get your thoughts, Chappie, and then you guys out there as well. If you agree with this list and kind of some of the stuff that they got going on.
I made my top 10 wide receiver duels. If you want to hear mine.
So did you go Rams 1, Bengals 2?
I did Rams 1, yes. Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua are 1, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
The way you just said that made me think that you were going to not
too.
have the Bengals.
These are my top 10 wide
I
receiver
thought he
duels.
was going to have the Dolphins there somehow.
No. At number 3, do you want to guess it?
Eagles?
AJ Brown, Devontae Smith.
I would put Vikings over Eagles.
Dude, I'm not high on Jordan Addison.
I am.
Devontae Smith is better than Jordan Addison.
Not by a long shot. I think Justin Jefferson's a long shot better than A.J. Brown. Like I think Justin
agree
Jefferson
with that.
is more better than A.J. Brown than Devontae Smith is more better than Addison.
I don't think I
Like if I had to give rankings to them, like Justin Jefferson's a 99 overall, AJ Brown's a 95 overall, Devontae Smith is like an 87 overall, and Jordan Addison's an 84
Well, here's where I'm
overall.
going to lose you then, because I'm putting Tyreek and Jalen Waddle at 4. Let's not be too much of prisoners of the moment.
Justin Jefferson's better than Tyreek, and Jordan Addison's better than Jalen Waddle.
We're 1 year removed from Tyreek being number 1 with Justin
Is
Jefferson.
Tyreek Hill even going to be a Dolphin?
Technically, right now, he's a Miami Dolphin. Jalen Waddle had a down year. Without Tua being there, I think we need to factor that into it.
Sure.
It was a weird year last year.
I don't agree, but I can agree to disagree.
So this list that they're creating, first thing, I just want you to pay attention to the first 2 names right there. Devontae and Puka Nacua over Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Now, I just want to get your thoughts initially on what you think about that in terms of top receiving duos in this league, and if you were to agree with that. What are your thoughts?
It's so I don't think that that's accurate in that current state, but I do think that if
It's quite
So,
the reach.
for that it's a little aggressive, more just from if you were to say like the comparison in the 2 careers recently of Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams, and if you were to look at Devontae Adams' last couple seasons here fantasy wise, and then you're going to also, and even just duo wise, and you're going to look at then, okay, what was Kupp and Puka, right? And then what was then going to be now Devontae and Puka? Like, Devontae hasn't had a solid quarterback situation that, centered to him in a lot of ways. Like, the whole Rodgers thing was just, again, I don't know, like, it was trying to draw back, times of old and trying to figure that out. But if you were to look at that, like, his drop off didn't happen. Like, Devontae hasn't dropped off yet, but I won't say that Stafford is going to be like the next coming of Jesus and figuring out how to throw the ball to Devontae primarily. Like, Puka's going to be the number 1 in that situation going forward here, as he was kind of, usurping Cooper. And then if you're going to look at that from the age perspective of what Devontae is going to run into here, it's kind of nuts to put that over 2 mid-20s receivers that are considered technically wide receiver 1s in both rights. Like, you would consider T a wide receiver 1 on any other team.
Well, it's not even that. Like, you just argued all the points for, and I understand that. Number 1, this hasn't even been, you haven't even seen this on the field yet.
No, you
first
haven't.
and foremost.
No.
And you just saw the Bengals receiving offense put up historical numbers. So you're taking a hypothetical offense now,
Yeah.
saying that they're better than a product that you just saw put up record-setting numbers. And not to mention, who's the best player between the 2 combinations? It's
Joe
Jamar
Burrow.
Chase. That too.
Yeah.
You got a better quarterback
Yeah.
situation.
Joe
and you
Burrow.
have the best
Yeah.
receiver on the Bengals side of things.
Yeah.
So I look at that, I'm like, that's, to me, is just asinine to even think that you could have that conversation.
Yeah.
So shouts out to the Caps Off boys over there.
Might
But,
be a little clip farming. Who knows? Might be a little.
you gotta
bit, yeah.
you gotta redo that take there. Sorry, boys. But I had to get
No,
your
those
thoughts
guys.
on that
Those guys
because
are
that
pretty
was
solid.
frustrating.
I know we follow them, but like there is a little bit of reach there for sure.
Yeah,
even from
absolutely.
the Jamar situation, the Devontae, if you're trying to pull out the best receiver in that class and you're saying, hey, okay, let's go Jamar against Puka, I think 99% of people are going to take Jamar, even though Puka's really solid, but he's proven to be a little injury prone at different times. And then you're going to say, hey, between Devontae and T, I think 99% of people are going to draft T. Higgins over Devontae every single time. So it's
would
kind
think
of
so.
nuts. Like T's not out far from. That's what I mean about wide receiver 1. Like,
He gets so much hate just because of the fact that he plays beside Jamar.
I don't
People
even
don't
agree with that
realize
per se.
if T played a full season, and this is the thing too, he misses a handful of
Yeah.
games every year. If T played a full season, they would have 2 Pro Bowl receivers on the Bengals.
yeah,
His numbers would show it. And I'm telling you this year, this was the hot take right now. If T stays healthy, I promise you there will be 2 receivers on the Bengals making the Pro Bowl. I think they will be that good, and I think he's that good of a receiver. He just gets overshadowed.
yeah. Yeah, like Devontae's. It speaks to how sick this guy is, right? Like over the course of his career, and just like kind of briefly looking up the fantasy numbers last season, I didn't even realize that he had gotten up into like the 240 range again, like for fantasy PPR, and just like even if you douse that with the other side, like he is so solid all the way around. Like he still hasn't lost a step. We said this a few podcasts ago. Like he hasn't lost a step. Now, he's going to lose a step at some point. There is going to be a fall off at some point here soon, and not obviously great career so far, but we've gone through the numerous players, and we just mentioned one as well with Cup.
Well, we've seen the drop off already, but I mean, like now he doesn't have to be the guy. He can work with Puka in unison, and I think
the
that's
running
is
still outstanding. Like at the end of the day, it's like 32 is the magic number. Like it is the magic number where the players, I don't know what it is. Like we saw it with Tyreek. Like it's just kind of like eventually we've seen it with Hopkins. We saw it with Jones. We saw it with like I could name veteran receivers that are Hall of Fame legends that hit the number 32 and go, I don't remember what the hell I was doing today. Like I just this happens, and it's not to say it's going to be this massive fall off, but it just happens, and we'll see how that plans out for LA, but. Yeah, that's a kind of crazy take. I think I'd rather take in any fantasy leagues going forward. Like, I'm taking the two others on that account. Like, I think Puka is disgusting, but we'll see how that plays out injury wise because he's had a little bit of trouble here earlier in his career. So
he definitely has. Just wanted to debate that one. But speaking of Joe Burrow, did you see Netflix is showcasing the quarterback series again?
I did see that. Yeah,
we got Joey B. On the quarterback series. That's just great, Netflix. Thanks. I get to relive once again that horrible fucking season last year, so that's gonna be fun. Like they already did Hard Knocks.
They have to be reviewing. They have to be videotaping every fucking person in the league.
They really want to show us again and again.
There's no shot that they don't have like 8 quarterbacks signed up to do this, and then they're like, yeah, that season is the one we want to talk about. Like, there's no shot. There's no shot that
fucking
they don't do
season.
That.
They got to do. They should have picked Burrow. Like, no, it's got to be on a season where he goes to the show, man. Like, you can't. The last year was
he's gonna get robbed in this season.
Yeah, legit. You get that
100%. That's in it.
It's like that meme where it's like pulling your eyes back, and it's like Bengals fans rewatch that fucking season again. And they're just
you're gonna see a Tumblr from like fucking Batman come into. I guarantee these are all the storylines that Netflix.
It'll be eventful. It'll be eventful. But you get Goff too. Cousins is back on the show. Interesting. They put Cousins back on.
Like, hey, having Kirk, like, hey, like the seasons ago, and then obviously like coming into this now, and oh, sorry, sir, you're gonna get cut in March. Like, that's like, shitty news.
The downfall of Cousins. Yeah. Although I think he's just good from a TV perspective. He's
the Atlanta
fun to watch,
like
right?
Stuff at the beginning of the season last like year was awesome. Like at the beginning, it was just a wave like happening, and then obviously kind of just hit a peak, but
crashed.
Yeah.
Came crashing down, but Goff will be cool too, Detroit, because obviously they had a great season last year. That'll be fun to watch. But I'm excited for that, man. I love those Netflix series. They're done really well, so I'm stoked.
Agreed.
But the last things I want to touch on here was some of these proposed rule changes that were pretty interesting. I wanted to kind of get into some of these. So the Lions had proposed 2 things. First one being a proposed change to the playoff seeding that would favor teams with the best records regardless of division standings.
I wonder why this was brought up.
Well, it's interesting because the Vikings would have had better seeding in their own division based on that, right?
Yeah.
But I look at it and I'm like, if you do that, that kind of just defeats the purpose of a division or winning the division, though, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what is the point of that then?
Yeah, the NFC.
Because then you have
just
like
an absolute
the Rams,
fucking powerhouse, like the North. Like that's what that's about.
So you have guys like the Rams and stuff who won their division, but obviously Minnesota had a better record. Like I even think the Packers had a better record. Like all these teams had better records in the wild card spot. They would hop over the Rams, but so then are you eliminating
like division
play? Like what is going on here? Because it wouldn't matter anymore.
Yeah, that's
so I don't really see the purpose of that.
It's somewhat I guess the NHL still does that. Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of annoying. Like I get it, but
It
I also
favors
like
great matchups in the early rounds of the playoffs. I think that would be a bonus. An NFL would probably see that as an opportunity for, like, obviously money. Like, I think that's the
yeah.
biggest one. You're not wrong that you had some of these crapshoot teams and divisions that, like, were
It always
just
happens.
scraping
Like that
in.
Atlanta division, the
Atlanta,
Bucks.
exactly.
Like they
Yeah.
finished 9
No,
and
they
8
were
every
crap
year.
and they were one and done, right? Like, and that was almost an absolute guarantee. That's why it's like it'll be interesting to see how those teams get played over the next little bit here because they just got in. So
Yeah.
I don't think this is a stupid idea per se, but the division is kind of what the best part about football is. Like, you
Yeah,
know who
exactly.
your team is in the division, and having reign over the division is a big thing for, like, just pride in the league. So like, we talked about the divisions more than we talked about anything else last season. So
Yeah, and I think that like creates big matchups too,
yeah, it
right?
does.
Like you have the divisional games at the end of the year, like these things matter. So I don't love that offering. I get, like obviously favoring the teams that have better records, but
Yeah,
I think divisional play is a big thing, so I'm not
no,
for that.
that's absolutely fair.
And then the second thing Detroit proposed was eliminating the automatic first down to the offense when the defense commits a hold or illegal contact penalty. Now this, I'm with, because those fucking automatic first downs are so annoying.
Kansas
like,
City will be losing their shit.
That's what I mean. Like how many times you get these illegal contacts and holds where it's
Yeah.
like, if it's, especially if the play is like, imagine like a 3rd and 15 and it's
Yeah.
like a legal contact or a hold and
Gain.
then it's
Yeah.
automatic first down. Like I agree with that completely. I think it makes it a little bit more of an even playing
Just
field.
give it an actual, like, yardage. Like,
Plus, it doesn't allow the officials to fucking control such pivotal moments like that with calls that
Fair.
just completely flip, right? So
Yeah.
I like that rule change. I think that's a good one. And then the Eagles proposed adopting the league's playoff overtime rules during the regular season. Both teams would essentially just possess the ball in the overtime. How do you feel about that one?
I think that one makes perfect sense. I'm
honestly, surprised it's not even a thing.
The fact
right
that
now.
this is not a thing is ridiculous. Like, I think this
Yeah.
is just, like, the fact that you don't have that as an opportunity is just mind blowing to me. Like, I get the like shootout perspective of it, and like matching other leagues doing that, like first run or first like not even basket, like like it should be like basketball, and that like both teams are going to get possession of the ball, and whoever plays better is going to win. And I think that
I
matters.
personally think the NFL needs to adopt the NCAA overtime rules.
Yeah.
I think that is a fucking game changer, and that is as equal a playing field as you can get. Both teams, if you aren't aware, in college football in America, the overtime rules are each team possesses the ball from the opponent's 25-yard line. They have X amount of plays to get into the end zone, and then after a certain amount of back and forth, if the game is tied, they then are forced to go for 2 points as well. I think that would be entertainment value fucking through the roof for the product of the NFL, and that would be must-watch television.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they haven't adopted that yet. That's something I would be pushing for. College just seems to have that figured out. Even the pass interference rule, only 15 yards. Like, that's another thing.
There's definitely some things that they, like, if you needed a trial period to which you wanted to see, how people were viewing that rule, then it's right there for you. It's already been tried and tested. So
exactly.
I agree.
And then the last one, of course, the Packers seek to ban the tush push.
Get over it.
Get over it is right, Packers. You guys lost. It's Jordan Love
needs to make a fucking pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Wasn't the tush push, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, hate to break it to you, but just get over it because they've created a competitive advantage and you just can't match it. Yeah. Get better defensively. That's all we can say.
I agree.
That kind of wraps that up, man. Nice to get back and talk some ball. But Chappie, man, you got anything else you want to throw in there for the viewers?
As always, hit that bell. Hit that bell, people.
That bell, man.
Let's subscribe. Check us out. Podcasts on all streaming platforms. YouTube helps us show out. Keeps us going. Appreciate it, guys.
that's it. Appreciate you guys tuning into the show. We'll be back as soon as we can, and you guys go check out my Bengals take. If you guys are Bengals fans out there too, you want to see some of the reactions to these signings, you can go check that out. It's on the channel as well. Chappie's gonna have some of that baseball stuff out for you guys too.
1000%.
You can check out the draft we just did as well. But appreciate you guys tuning in today. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Chappie and Bengals out.
Easy.